Welcome to the Cardinals Squad show. Coach Campanile is out of the Cardinals running. We are now running a one-man ship in Mike LaFleur, or are we? Is it actually his job to lose? Let's talk about it.
Jamil Douglas, former NFL offensive lineman. Let's see. Who would you want to be the OC and the DC of the Cardinals, depending on who they hire as a head coach?
Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. With Ron Rivera news rumbling, does Michael Bidwill know what the hell he's doing? Nope. Let's get it.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals Squad. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
What is up? Welcome into the Cardinals Squad show. Wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening, thank you so much for making us and this show a part of your day. Reminder, Locked On Cardinals Squad shows free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So hit that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of Cardinals fans have already done. Become in every day and get locked on the Cardinals Squad show right here each and every day. Okay, so a few different things have happened since we last left the Cardinals Squad show. We had officially three finalists. That was from Diana Rossini, Anthony Campanile, Mike LaFleur, and then Raheem Morris. And then Anthony Campanile, he not necessarily drops out, but agrees to an extension with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It feels like Mike LaFleur is the likely candidate. And then as of 30 minutes ago, Diana Rossini put out the Cardinals also interviewed Ron Rivera for their head coaching position. Not sure what that means either. Let's break it all down. Clancy, hearing all this news, is Mike LaFleur likely the guy now?
I mean, this Ron Rivera thing kind of threw everything for a loop. This is such an Arizona Cardinals thing. It's such an Arizona Cardinals thing. Hey, Ron, come in through the underground bunker. We don't want to tell anybody that you're coming in. It's like, who cares? Nobody else is looking at this guy. Who cares? I mean, to answer the question for a rational organization, one would think, he wined and dined him last night, probably at Steak 44, probably told him no appetizers, no wine. We're on a budget here at the State Farm Stadium. But this, I'm starting to think now, if it was going to happen with Michael LaFleur, it already would have. It's almost the end of the day. This is 2 days. This is the Sean Payton guide to using leverage for another job. So I have no idea what the hell it is, but this Ron Rivera thing is fascinating. Like, not half an hour ago this dropped.
Yeah. No, the Ron Rivera thing threw me for a loop, and this is the problem that I've said from day one since this whole coaching search started is the list is too big, and the options that you're leaving open don't give the impression that you know which direction you need to go or even want to go. And so it bothers me that you would spend time covering it up that Ron Rivera was in for an interview because no one else requested Ron Rivera for this coaching cycle. And so it kind of just it's frustrating for sure, but you just wonder where the Cardinals are at. Like you said, it's been 2 days now since the game. Most of these guys, after their seasons are over, they're turning the page to go on to whoever's hiring them, and you're wondering why that hasn't happened if it is a LaFleur that they're zeroing in on.
So I was talking to Jamil before the show. Yeah, I saw it. I was talking to Jamil before the show, and the Arizona Cardinals, I place them as professional time wasters. Doesn't make any sense that you would bring in Ron Rivera for an interview unless this one thing happens, which I'll get to in just a second. And the other thing is, the Cardinals are your friend that swears they're smarter than you about everything, and that's why they do things differently. And the reasoning why they're not better off is because they've just continuously had rotten luck, when in reality, the rotten luck is just staring them in the mirror. We all know this guy, what is it? The pyramid scheme guy, the guy that's got all the answers to everything, but his own life is a mess. That's what the Ron Rivera thing feels like, unless Mike LaFleur is the guy And the one thing that a lot of people have real skepticism of, which I think is very fair, is that he called plays once. He did get fired from that. Granted, was that all his fault? Probably not necessarily. He's kind of a younger guy, hasn't been a head coach before. Maybe they're seeing if Ron Rivera would be willing to come be his DC. And that's where you're going to get this head coaching experience from, someone that he can lean on, because maybe Raheem Morris said no. What doesn't make sense of all this is, I agree with Clancy, is if he's not the guy, when is he going to be the guy? Like, what are we waiting on here? Are we arguing about dollars and cents? Did he make Mike LaFleur split the bill last night at whatever Chuck E. Cheese they went to? Like, I don't know, man. It just, nothing is starting to add up, and that makes it concerning.
Okay. Yeah. It makes me think it's Ron Rivera.
Oh, no.
Like, it does. Like, you're not doing this for, leverage. You're not doing this for any other reason than, why wouldn't you just bring in Vance Joseph? He knows, like, Ron Rivera's won 2 coaches of the year. Sure, they were over 10 years ago, but if you had to say of all of the coaches who got jobs this year, who would have the best resume? Would he be top 3? Ron Rivera, he was in the cycle to begin with. Like, I know Stefanski won 2. Okay, he was, riddled with Deshaun Watson and the allegations and all that stuff, and no first-round picks and all that stuff. Like, would he be top 2? Would he be above Mike McCarthy? Probably not. But you don't know if Ron Rivera, like, yes. I think is he a relic at this point? Like, is he so far removed from the game after a couple of years that it's passed him by?
Listen, yeah. The fact that we're even spending time talking about Ron Rivera as a candidate is just beyond me.
Have you come into contact with him?
Yes. And he's not the right answer for the job. I got released from Buffalo in week 14. They were planning to put me back and then elevate me. It was an injury thing. The Commanders claimed me. I went to the Commanders. I was pissed about it. Regardless, we go to play the Dallas Cowboys on either Christmas. I think it was Christmas, Thanksgiving, one of these. This was the whole infamous fight in the locker room that I think a lot of people heard about, but no one got to see. I got to see it firsthand between these 2 defensive linemen. I'm not going to name any names. What I will say is, coming from Mike Vrabel to Sean McDermott and how they handled locker room stuff, I did not think that the way this was being handled was how you should lead a team. And, there was a reason why the team was not very good that year. Not saying that Ron Rivera is not a great coach. I just don't think at this point in his career, he is the guy to that you fire a Jonathan Gannon for and say, we're going this route. His track record is not culture shifting, culture changing, especially with a roster like this roster. This is not a Ron Rivera type of job. Now, if you want him to be your DC, then that's a whole different conversation. But as a head coach, no, this ain't it. I can't even believe that the Cardinals are even in the picture with this. Like, why?
Right, because remember Ron Rivera first, he was with the Chargers. Okay, he was looked to maybe take over that job for, was it Monty Ball? I think it was Marty Ball, Marty Schottenheimer, and then the Turner guy that the OC that was everyone, Norv Turner, I think took the job or something, and then he went to Carolina. I think it was that. Like, Ron Rivera was one of the most well-respected football coaches in the between 2005 and 2022 or whatever it was. Like, he is a well-respected man in this space.
For
okay.
Sure.
So if you're looking for an anchor that's not Vance Joseph, I guess that's a thing. Okay. But then who's going to call this offense? Remember that Trey McBride's here and then Marv's here and that all this stuff is here. It's very difficult for me to stomach the fact that if you're not bringing in an offensive wunderkind, irrespective if he's called plays or not up until this point, that you're not bringing in a young DC or young DC to coach who it's like, okay, he's vibrant with this version of football, and then he brings in one of his cronies to call the offense. It's difficult for me to stomach that.
Would you guys be able to guess off the top of your head oh, sorry, I read this wrong. So he was fired in 2024. I read that wrong. It looked like he was fired. It was fired before that. But either way, his coaching record is 102, 103, and 2. So he's an under 500 coach, 3-5 in the playoffs. Nothing about Ron Rivera makes me feel like that's what the Cardinals should be doing. If you're going to go the defensive-minded route, you just had that in Anthony Campanile, and you let him walk out the door.
I think he just wanted to stay in Jacksonville.
Maybe
Yeah.
we don't know. Like, if you would have offered him the correct amount of money and control, like, everyone has their number. They weren't interested in him enough to keep him in Arizona, and he went back to Jacksonville. Totally fair. Might want a better job, but Clancy, elaborate more on that. 64-year-old Ron Rivera. Are you speaking in hyperbole, or do you actually think, because you've been covering this team a long time, that now the tide could be starting to shift towards Ron Rivera? And
I don't know why he's in the building. I don't know why he's in the building.
I don't either.
Like, truly, I don't know why, especially when maybe they were having, because they don't have to report any, because he wasn't coming from a new team. I don't know what the reporting rules are. They didn't maybe need to tell anybody, but I mean, again, and you alluded to it. I mean, the Cardinals, I've always said the Cardinals run their team like they've won 10 Super Bowls. It's like, we got it. It's weird. We got it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Look at the trophies. No, those are just,
yeah. I mean,
seventh grade trophies from.
Look at the banners.
Dude,
yeah, look at the banners.
To hide this and have it come out like later as if people are going to be like, oh goodness, they're hiring Ron Rivera. Nobody cares one bit.
Yeah.
Like,
this reminds me of when nobody knew who was going to be the first overall pick in 2018, and then Baker Mayfield was minus 500 an hour later. It's like it came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. It's like, this scares me, because this is exactly what Michael Bidwill would do when he's almost at the finish line of doing something that is outside of the norm for him, where it's like, hey, screw it. We're going to see. To, nope, Ron, Super Bowl, punished the Cardinals in the conference championship game that year. He was the head coach. It's like, hey, yeah, but dude, I don't know.
Good.
My thing is, if you do we have an idea of when this interview happened? Because if it happened a week ago, that would make sense that now maybe Diana Rossini is getting word from his guys. Do we have any idea of when it
Diana
happened?
Rossini's been the most tapped in, man. I
have no idea, but the fact that it happened bothers me. It bothers me that it happened.
None of us think that it could be a defensive coordinator hire. If that was the case, if Ron Rivera came in to be the Cardinals defensive coordinator, is he probably a little outdated? Potentially. Okay. But he has shown the ability to be a good defensive coordinator before, and maybe you're trying to pair the old, wise, experienced defensive coordinator with the new
which would
head
be
coach.
fine.
Would that change your mind?
Yes, that would change my mind. And that is the only scenario in which I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Maybe you are shifting towards a LaFleur, and then the reason that it hasn't happened, or maybe you are thinking of hiring LaFleur, and the reason it hasn't happened is he hasn't signed off on that. Maybe he doesn't want a Ron Rivera in that circle. The only thing I can think of is the connection between Sean McDermott and Ron Rivera. That is the only thing I can think of in terms of, like, if you're trying to appeal to a Sean McDermott because they were on staff together in Carolina, maybe you visit that circle. But other than that, I don't see, like, Ron Rivera as being a Vic Fangio that you bring in to oversee, or like someone like that. I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and I'm seeing the comments like, are you can't tell the fan base is sold on LaFleur. They're not. Nobody knows who the hell he is. They know that he's third in line after Kevin O'Connell and Liam Cohen for guys who didn't call plays in LA, who are now successful head coaches. Liam Cohen also went to Tampa Bay and was the OC there and ran a roughshod over the NFC South and made Baker Mayfield's career. So it's like he had another stop before he got a head coaching gig. Michael LaFleur has quite literally not called a winning offense ever. ever. So if you're not going to have him call the plays, he's going to bring in one of his cronies. Fine. I'm sure he's got a wide net with the Shanahan and McVay, tributaries and everything. But then you've got to get an old head to come call the defense. And if that's the case and Ron Rivera is the guy, that would make sense. What a motley crew that would be. But Ben, to your point, it's like, what if he doesn't sign off on him? A first-time head coach should never be able to sign off on both coordinators. It should be institutional. Like, hey, this is going to be your DC. He's 100. He's coached before. Lean on him. Jonathan Gannon could have used that, even though Nick Morales did, coach a pretty good 2024 season.
If the Arizona Cardinals do go the Mike LaFleur route, they will be going the first-time head coach once again, dating all the way back to Cliff Kingsbury, Jonathan Gannon, Steve Wilkes, and now potentially Mike LaFleur. Is that the correct thing for the Arizona Cardinals to do? We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it next.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
So the Arizona Cardinals did take Mike LaFleur out last night. No word on if they made Mike LaFleur split the bill, but he had dinner last night with the Cardinals. He's in today with the Arizona Cardinals. The speculation was Mike LaFleur would come in, do his do the interview thing, and then potentially tomorrow, that being today, figure out a way to get this head coaching thing done. If that was the case, it is not the case as of 4:25 p.m. today. Mike LaFleur would be a first-time head coach. That would be the Steve Wilkes, Cliff Kingsbury, Jonathan Gannon, fourth straight first-time head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. Is that the right call, Clancy? I think I know which way you're leaning here.
Hashtag analysis. This is the worst time to need a quarterback and a head coach to really have any sort of determination. Plus, to be the Arizona Cardinals coming off a 3-14 season. We've gone back and forth. We ping-ponged back and forth. I thought Robert Saleh was the guy just because he had experience and he did what he did with the defense when they were undermanned this past season. At this point, they need a difference maker. And we've talked to this a lot. We don't know who the Liam Cohen and Mike McDonald of this group are going to be, but there's most likely going to be one of each, a defensive guy and an offensive guy. Probably going to be Jesse Minter in Baltimore. Could very well be Mike LaFleur. We don't know. At this point, you got to go. You got to go. It's like, I don't know, man. Offensive-minded guy, first time, whatever. That's contingent upon bringing in a defensive guy who can just be the head coach of the defense. So Mike LaFleur doesn't even have to look that way.
Remind me, what's our question here? Are we asking is offense the right way to go?
First-time head coach. The fact that the Cardinals went first-time head coach three straight times now, this is the fourth straight time. Is that the right call for the Arizona Cardinals? Or I guess you could also take the angle of, is this kind of all there was for them to take?
Yeah, I think it's all there was for them. I truly think Clint Kubiak decided he's going to stay in Seattle. And I think Mike LaFleur is probably the most attractive of the two. I thought a Chris Shula would pop up, but then you look at Shula's last month and a half of the season, and it's kind of underwhelming. And so kudos unless the Cardinals pop out and hire Shula, then but kudos to them for kind of weeding through that. Yeah, I mean, look, I think you got to just take. Again, there's two parts to this. Like, the Cardinals are going to be a job that people are going to have to want. And then also you're going to have to, take who the best available guy on the market is. And so I think that's where they're at right now. I do think if you go with Mike LaFleur, because like Clancy said, first-time head coach, you got to get somebody in there that can kind of oversee and direct as needed.
There was very few people that had Mike LaFleur as like their number one guy, or at least really, really high on their head coaching rankings. A lot of us liked a couple of different guys, but at the end of the day, I didn't want a first-time head coach either, but I'll take the best that the Arizona Cardinals can give them. And that's why the Raheem, like, it should be more focused on, okay, what is the staff going to look like? Because if this was kind of the problem with Jonathan Gannon, he had a really inexperienced staff. And so when we all wanted Drew Petzing to be gone, like Clancy would make the point of, okay, well, who do you want to call plays? And then we'd have the discussion of like, well, he can't be any worse than this guy. And experience matters. It's the right hire for what the Arizona Cardinals have, depending on what their DC or OC looks like. If their OC or DC, preferably their DC, has some gray hairs to him, has been a part of an NFL, has been a head coach before for an NFL team, then yeah, I feel a lot better about it. Like if you're talking about Ron Rivera or Raheem Morris, yeah, that's a guy that you can lean on. And, you know, when times get tough, say, hey, how would you spark your teams with your time with Atlanta, Raheem Morris, or with your time with Carolina when you guys were going 15-1 or whatever that looked like? It matters what the staff looks like, which is why this question is kind of hard to answer right now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, all in all, what Clancy just muttered is, yeah, he wants to throw up. This is a bad spot to be in.
Jamil, just because we when we ended on Friday, I thought LaFleur would be the guy. You know, we kind of all took some sort of ideas of who we would want. Vance Joseph was kind of in there as well. Now that Mike LaFleur seems to be the lead dog, even with the Ron Rivera news, seems to be the lead dog, you feel like this is a bad move or the right move?
You know, my stance on Mike LaFleur is that I have not seen him in a position outside of the Jets in the recent years of success with the Rams calling it. And so we can all, you know, say that I think there's a lot of, you know, just hoping and wishing in terms of, you know, what his brother has accomplished and then what certain coaches from the McVay tree have accomplished over the last few years. The reality is that we haven't gotten to see that from him. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of hope in terms of the Jets offense. And so I've always been of the essence that you got to hire a coach that has been on the field calling it, because I do believe that gives you the best kind of metric in terms of, okay, who am I getting as a coach? With Mike LaFleur, I feel like that you really don't know, besides you're getting a young prospect who is in that tree. You don't know how he is in terms of coaching style, the culture. Like, you just don't know. You just know that he's been under a Sean McVay who has been really successful.
You know, when I see the list of like everybody, oh, look at what he's done. Look at the offenses he's been a part of and how many playoffs they've been to, how many Super Bowls they've been to. It makes me think of Ohio State receivers drafted before Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, you got Garrett Wilson. Oh, you got Jackson Smith and Jigba. Was he drafted before or after Marv? I think he was before. He was before. And then Marv was the third one. It's like, oh, this is the list. The Cardinals are going to get theirs. And here we are. Like, this is what happens with the Cardinals organization. Everything is set to look the way for positive, pivot into good things, and things fall flat. So at this point, it doesn't matter about philosophy. It doesn't matter about vision. I don't give a rip about all that abstract bullcrap. They got to win football games in between the lines. That's the only thing they haven't done. Jonathan Gannon came in. Everybody bought into his vision. Everybody loved JG. They couldn't do jack inside the lines this year. So it's like, I don't care if you all love each other. I don't care if you hate the head coach. Win football games. And it lends me to think there's no safety net with the first-time head coach. It could be incredibly great where the ceiling is the roof and there's no ceiling and all this stuff, and you're going to win all those games. And then you bring in Ron Rivera as a head coach, you can win 7 games next year like that. Lord. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying the other side is probably more aesthetically pleasing early, but long-term, the younger guy is usually going to reign supreme here.
You know, we talked about this before, Clancy.
Oh Lord.
In terms of the Michael Bidwell doing something a little bit out of the box. Does this feel like a Michael Bidwell hire? Or do you think this is a Monti Ossenfort hire?
I think they can't decide between the two of them.
Between Ron Rivera and
no, I can't. I feel like they cannot come to a name that they both agree on.
Yeah,
because at least with Steve Keim, it was like, oh, Steve, whatever you want, Stevie, whatever you want. And then now it's like, hey, Monti, you're supposed to come in and take over. There was that clip in the draft room where Michael Bidwill was asking him at like 22 when they were picking 27. So who are you thinking? He still didn't know. I said he's on the inside looking in. He lets the guy. And now after last year, it's like, nope, let's watch film together like we did with Kyler and Cliff. Let's jump in here, Robert Sarver. That's what's happening.
Dude,
you can feel it.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I think Michael Bidwell, the Ron Rivera thing is a Michael Bidwell thing. There's no way that Monti Ossenfort is sitting up there and he's saying, I think Ron Rivera is the right guy for the job. Michael Bidwell is saying that because he knows he won't have to pay an old guy like Ron Rivera a ton of money, you know, in hopes of giving him the head coaching job. Ron Rivera, if you offer him the job, he's probably going to take it. Let's just call it what it is.
Without a doubt.
He's going to take it. And so, yeah, it just feels like they can't agree in terms of where they want to go. But I think Monti Ossenfort there's no way that he's sitting up and he's banging for a Ron Rivera to lead his or his fate in this next year.
And keeping with the topic of discussion, how far, do you think the Cardinals wanted to come in and hire a first-time head coach, or are they getting the third, fourth, fifth guy down on their list?
Because they're getting the 9th, 10th, 11th guy down, dude. Nobody wants to coach here.
Well, that's not true. It's one of 32 jobs. I think that you can give someone the control and the money to come in here and change your organization. I think people want to come here. It's just a shorter list. But in terms of the Cardinals list, do you think that there are, let's phrase it like this. Do you think there's multiple different guys they would have wanted? Not, that's unfair because there's Harbaugh.
There's a lot of guys they wanted. The list was 20-some. I was on the list. Like I'm still waiting for my date night at Steak 44, so I can.
Where's this idea that he went to Steak 44?
That's actually where he goes. Who knows?
Yeah, why not?
Come on, Michael Bidwell.
It doesn't matter. This isn't Yelp. This isn't brought to you by Yelp. Who cares? Listen, the list for them, nobody wanted to come here. Okay, otherwise they would have hired somebody already. Truly, they would have hired somebody already. There's only one guy.
LaFleur said no.
I don't know, but I'm saying this is the list. This is it. You know, Clint Kubiak's the only one where it's like maybe he's not coming here. He's either going to stay in Seattle, which is a better job. It might pay more to stay as the OC in Seattle, or Mark Davis will give him all of King Midas's gold in Vegas. Like, here's Fernando Mendoza. Here's $100 million to spend. Here's a head coach. It can't be worse than Pete Carroll. Go. Like, and no state income tax. It's not as simple as just pay him the money and he'll want to be here. They don't pay coaches. Coordinators made more than Jonathan Gannon last year. So it's like, so this is what's happening. Michael Bidwell wants a guy. Monti Ossenfort's like, well, you got to pay him. He goes, I don't want to. He's like, oh, we can hire this guy. I don't want that guy. Why not? I don't know. I don't like his name or whatever. Michael Bidwell doesn't know football. So he's Monti. I feel bad. I wish I was on Monti Ossenfort's shoulder listening to those negotiations between him and the guy who signs his paychecks. Truly. I feel like it would just be comedy.
I don't know if you watched the presser. I'm sure you did with Monti and Bidwell. But every time those two are up at the podium together, it feels like Monti Ossenfort's looking at Michael Bidwell like, stop talking. Stop talking. Okay, well, I didn't realize that we thought Michael LaFleur was so far down the list on the Cardinals. I thought he was like 4th on their list, 5th on their list. But I guess I didn't really look at it in its totality. I just never... Clancy might be right. It might be their 9th, 10th guy because when you think about McDermott and Harbaugh and all those guys.
Still waiting for the report that the Cardinals flew to Sean McDermott's home wherever he is.
Now so I tweeted that out because Buffalo flew to Miami to meet Mike McDaniel, who canceled, but there was an Arctic just storm back then. So it's like, well, maybe somebody's flying out of Buffalo to get to Miami and meet him where you can see the ground and it's not snow. Sure. But yeah, Sean McDermott is hibernating. He's like, I wonder who's going to take it next year. He's like Arch Manning, just waiting for next season. It's like, who's it going to be next year? Could be the Cardinals. Who knows? They can't fire somebody after 1 year again.
I'm sorry.
That's the barometer.
That would be bad. Now that would be bad if they did that.
Well, all right. Well, Mike LaFleur, still likely the favorite for the Arizona Cardinals. What does this offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator look like? What should it look like? Is it Ron Rivera? Is it Raheem Morris? Time will tell. Let's talk about it next. Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at Gametime. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. Pull up the Gametime app, pick an upcoming game, and have tickets locked in within just minutes. I love the all-in price upfront pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. Zone deals stand out. You choose a section, Gametime picks the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Also, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to stay locked into every moment than with Prize Picks. It's your last call for football season here on FanDuel. One final season, one final kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is the Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn to storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's a perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, what is the Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators potentially going to look like? Let's talk about it. Clancy, you've talked about this vision, how there shouldn't just be a vision, how there needs to be a plan to execute to win games. We'll start off with you. What should the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators look like? And let's start off with a guy like Mike LaFleur.
Experience. With the offense, you need two heads for the offense and one head for the defense. The defense should not be touched. As I said, if you bring in a defensive-minded first-time head coach, the offense should be a 1099 employee under the parent company of the Arizona Cardinals. You've got to have one guy choosing one side of the field and making that side of the field better. So if it's defense, you bring in an old head, somebody who's done this before. And listen, don't cringe. I don't think Nick Rallis would be the worst choice.
No,
I know it's a weird, pairing because he came with JG. He may go back and, backtrack and be the LB coach in Green Bay. But Nick Rallis showed to me in 2024 that he is a competent defensive coordinator. Truly. I know it's a high wire act again because of what happened after the bye week last week. But for me, you need to get, this is so dumb. You need to get both sides of the ball right, and you need to make Mike LaFleur's job as easy as possible. So bringing in old head DC to handle that side of the ball so we can focus on offense and reinventing and, making sure that Marvin Harrison Jr. is an NFL player next year.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I don't know. That's the best I could do.
That's
the best we got.
100%. And it, I hate to beat a dead horse, but there's only two ways you can go. If you get an offensive minded head coach, you need someone that can really turn up the defense and vice versa. And it's just, for me, it's just a candidate thing at this point, man. You're now, I consider this late in the coaching hiring cycle. And so I don't know exactly what it is. I just feel like, there is no direction in which I hate to say it, I don't think the Cardinals are even thinking about it in that way, in terms of how can we make this pair work together. I think right now they're in fight or flight mode. Like, we missed out on maybe the guys that we thought we were going to get, and we're not getting those guys. And now we have to piece together something. And just out of the candidates that are left, man, it feels Campanile probably would have been one of my favorites. I know we talked about Raheem Morris. It just feels like they're going to get that tier 3 guy, if they couldn't land that.
How would they? Okay, so here's another one. I saw this on Twitter yesterday. What if it was Anthony Weaver as the DC? Anthony Weaver and Mike LaFleur both cross paths in Cleveland. That's the one like string of candidates that you could say, okay, there is a connection there.
I mean, it ain't like the Dolphins were. I'm not understanding where the hype.
To be fair, what were the Dolphins really working with over there? Defensively speaking.
Oh,
I mean, it was more than what they produced, I think.
Sure. I just don't get it. I don't see it. Like, Anthony Weaver doesn't hit home for me in terms of like next steps. Like,
I keep Nick Rallis.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, going from Nick Rallis to Anthony Weaver is like, a lateral jump in terms of how I view it. I just, that doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't.
Are you guys against Mike LaFleur being his own OC, just like Cliff Kingsbury was?
Yeah. Cliff at least called plays in college. They were bad, but he called plays in college.
That's a good point.
I mean, he scored 80 points against Baker Mayfield, right? Or
also
70,
also
in that game.
Also had Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Calling card. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean listen, that is the biggest. It's like, this is a good example. This is my first one. Oh, good. This is my first one at the end of the month. The first smart thing I say. This is like 3-point shooters trying to be like Steph Curry. It's like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay. It ain't going to happen, dog. So you have a guy that comes in and he's like, oh, listen, I've learned from these guys. Calling plays and leading a team of 100 dudes, it's like, it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
I mean,
now,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just saw an interview with Cliff Kingsbury where they asked him about where did he go wrong in his first time being a head coach? And he said, after watching Dan Quinn, he's like, I didn't even think about laying the foundation for my team. I was just so focused on, X's and O's and doing what I know how to do. That's the same hurdle for first-time head coaches, man. Like, you think you're going to go in there like these Sean McVay guys and these, Kevin O'Connell guys, like these are unicorns. These are not guys that are just hanging around the Shanahan. Like, these are just unicorn guys. And so to just give a first-time head coach, a young guy who's not going to be working with, your desired quarterback and have a desired run game, to give that responsibility to this guy and say, now go produce in one of the best divisions in football. It's a lot. And the failures are going to be there very early on. And so you're going to have to be okay with that. I don't think that you can do it in this situation where the Cardinals are. Now, other situations, it may work, but not this one.
Are you against the idea? So, okay, fine. Often he finds an OC. You guys don't want him calling plays either.
No, I want the head coach to be the head coach.
I don't know, man. I think that's why you're bringing Mike LaFleur here. He's supposed to be your offensive mastermind that's going to, finally break out Marvin Harrison Jr.
Where's the proof that that's happened?
I listen.
I'm asking. Is there any proof that he can do that on his own?
There is proof that it can be done, and I think that's a little different.
Yeah, so Steph Curry exists. That's fine.
Liam Cohen,
Kevin O'Connell,
both did not call plays.
People are not taking it. By the way, Mike LaFleur is not going to take this job just because Marvin Harrison Jr. He sees a Trey McBride. He sees
Trey
a Michael
McBride.
Wilson.
For sure. But I'm saying we already know Trey McBride's great. I'm saying, how is he going to, level up this offense? And I think that's why you're hiring him, is you want him to call the plays. I understand that leading is going to be tough to do as well, but isn't that why you bring the seasoned, older, been a head coach before, defensive end. Like, let me just throw this question out there right now. How much better would you guys feel if Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator and the assistant head coach?
As opposed to what?
As opposed to Anthony Weaver, who's never been a head coach.
Yeah,
I'd feel better
Morris,
about Raheem Morris over Anthony
But
Weaver.
Nick Rallis,
I don't.
that's a crapshoot. Raheem Morris
that
hasn't
one
called a
was-
top 20 defense before. It's not like he's this guy who's a top 5 dude. Like, if Vance Joseph wanted to come home and be the DC, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But it's obviously that would never happen. But like, for me, this is going to be a huge splash or a huge mistake. Like, it's going to be one of the two. If you want to bring in, you could do the thing with Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis. Jonathan Gannon brought the defense. Nick Rallis ran it. If you've got a guy that Michael LaFleur has, he's got minions. I'm sure everybody does. He's 38. He's got a bunch of dudes in his mid-30s ready for a shot. They run his offense with his tutelage. That's different than him covering his face with the play card every down and then also having to coach a team for the first time.
I don't know if I have any faith in Mike LaFleur to bring over another offensive guy. Because, like, who's he going to bring over from the Rams? That Nate Saheeli kid.
It wouldn't even need to be from the Rams. It could be the pass game coordinator for Cincinnati or something. This thing it's like Clutch Sports in the NBA, dude. These guys are everywhere. They're like agents. They're everywhere. And you just pull somebody from a different team. Oh, my God, look at Liam Cohen. Unbelievable. Best offense in football. They've got dudes. They've got dudes. And I'm sure Kyle and Sean would get a coffee and be like, hey, which is the best guy to bring with them? And they'll tell them, even if it's in division.
Clancy, do you have an ideal OCDC names that you'd be like, okay, I feel better about this?
No, OC, I don't. Because here's the thing.
Yeah,
it's not like O, C, I don't. OC, offensive coordinator, I don't. There are 17 offensive coordinator openings this cycle.
18,
that's over half. Okay? That's over half. Where do the Cardinals rank on that?
No, come on. They've got weapons.
Listen, they don't know who the head coach is. They don't know who the head coach is. They know who the quarterback is. And you know what? Jacoby Brissett did valiant work last year. He's not the guy for the future. He is the guy for 2026. Yeah. So you know what your immediate future is. You know what the most fun part of being a new OC is? Getting a head coaching gig the next year if you have a top 5 offense. That's what people are looking for with jobs. This isn't it. And if Marv was all world, we'd have a different conversation. But we don't know what the run game is. We don't know what the offensive line is. God. There's so many unknowns that aren't unknowns elsewhere.
Yeah.
So DC, like, this is like, I would just call Sean McDermott and be like, Sean, I'll give you $12 million a year, bro. Come on.
To be the DC?
No.
Or the head coach?
For the head coach.
Okay, hey, listen. What about this? I know this isn't a part of the conversation.
It's probably aliens right now. I'm just going to call it aliens. I know how you ramp up.
100% it's aliens. Anything Sean McDermott is aliens invading the earth right now.
Well, I mean, now it is. Yeah.
But to be fair, wasn't Ron Rivera aliens?
No, Ron Rivera was, you need to be drug tested. Rivera is a completely different thing. It's like, are you seeing ghosts? Like that kind of thing.
He sent Ron Rivera you up text super late at night.
Yeah, really.
Hey, what you doing?
After Mike McDonald said no.
Yeah. guys, listen. This might be a Josh McDaniel type of deal. I don't know. Like,
what do you mean? Elaborate on that.
I'm just thinking connection wise with our guy Monti, Josh. There's something that we're
Does
not.
Tom Brady come with him?
Have you seen that movie Knives Out?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that movie.
This is of course you haven't. Clancy has.
Yeah, it's not on Nickelodeon. Yeah.
This is the mystery case of the Cardinals. Like, there's something that we're gonna catch at the end of this movie that we were not thinking. And I have to, maybe it's me just having wishful thinking, but like, I think about a Brian Daboll signing with the Titans. Why wasn't a Brian Daboll offered the job? Like it just, something's not adding up for me. And so I have to go the furthest route of like, oh, Josh McDaniel is still coaching. Him and Monti spent a lot of time together in New England. Maybe he's waiting on that, but I just don't know. I don't know at this point.
Well, I think Josh McDaniels would never leave Mike Vrabel's side ever. He found his second Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
like, how
100%.
is that? Is real quick, because this isn't locked on Patriots. Is Josh McDaniels the best offensive coordinator in the history of football?
No,
hell no.
No.
Wait.
Look how many rings he has.
Yeah, he has rings, but no.
Okay.
If Tom didn't go do it without him, then
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know how great he is. I think how much of it is Tom and Billy B?
Second-year quarterback, Super Bowl.
sure.
Just
I
saying.
wouldn't say
Anyway.
their offense has been something to write home about, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But to my original question, do you think there's any chance that they're calling Sean McDermott up at all
No.
right now?
I think the time's passed. I think they called him and he's like, who is this? Click.
He said Cardinals, St. Louis. Nah, I don't coach it. Nah, I don't know, bro. I just, to me, why not? It bothers me that we haven't seen that headline, that they even conducted an interview, or
They might have.
they might have.
It was just deep underground in a bunker somewhere at Area 51.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's get to a little bit of mock draft talk, because we have our first, I think, massive mock draft kind of discussion we could talk about. Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network dropped his first one of draft season. Let's talk about that next. Now, today's episode is brought to you by the lovely folks over at Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to stay locked into every moment with Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where it always feels good to be right. With football season coming down to its final stretch, now it's the perfect time to close it out strong. Prize Picks makes watching the game even more exciting by letting you build simple lineups around player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just football action all the way through the playoffs. PrizePicks is incredibly easy to get started. Pick 2 or more players and choose more or less on their projections. It makes watching games way more engaging, especially during the playoffs and the big game. It's a great way to keep playing fantasy football even after season-long leagues are finished. There's a favorite feature in there. How about the early payouts, which let you cash out if a player gets off to a hot start? Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Okay, so this one's gonna make. I think it's been a hard show for both of you. I'm a little bit more optimistic about the Mike LaFleur thing. Do I think that they're going to win a Super Bowl with him anytime soon? Maybe not. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs next year? Maybe not. But I'm optimistic about it. Seems like you guys are a little bit upset about it. How about this? Daniel Jeremiah dropped his first mock draft. Who did they have the Cardinals selecting at 3rd overall? Spencer Fano of the Utah Utes. Tackle, I'm assuming they'll have him play on the right side if he's here, obviously, in Arizona. He played right tackle with Utah. How do we feel about that, gentlemen? Clancy, you think the Cardinals are going to eat their vegetables?
Jamil?
Oh, Jamil. I guess you're right. I guess Jamil played the position.
Yeah. I'm first. Listen, I love it. I mean, we knew, I think early on in terms of their draft position, where they would go. I mean, this isn't concrete, but it's pretty close. I think they'll go up front, whether it's a pass rusher or a tackle. I love it. I think that you have to prepare for the future in terms of finally getting, a quarterback or, someone that you believe in back there. And also you have to fix your run game. And so the best way to do that is obviously get an offensive lineman that can, ground and pound, and then also pass pro. So I love where it's at. I wouldn't be mad if they went pass rusher, obviously. Just given the division that they're in, and Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford and our guy Brock Purdy. But I think this is where the Cardinals need to stay in terms of that pick. I think they need to go offensive line.
Yep. This is 3 years running at this point for me. So yeah. I said offensive line or trade back for instead of Marv. I said 16 Gray Zabel. I talk about this every year. This is going into season 10. I probably talked about it 8 times out of 10, outside of the Kyler Murray year and probably one other, that they need to go offensive line in the first round. So whether it's Spencer Fano, whether it's the kid from Miami, I don't care. and spend some money. They're going to have $35 million around as of right now in cap space going to the offseason. You bring in the best offensive guard you can to play right or left side, and then you're off to the races. Nothing matters if you can't protect your quarterback.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that matters. And I understand the sexier side that Ben's probably already going to say is, well, pass rusher, you need help with Josh Sweat, which I completely agree also. The defensive front weakened toward down the stretch last year. If you don't protect the quarterback, nothing works. Nothing works.
Sure. And I will get to the opposing side of the argument, and I would not be upset if you guys are right. I do want to ask this, though. Who do you guys like better? And I know, like, because it's early in the process, but just from what you've seen, especially Jamil, who do you like? The Francis Mau, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. The tackle for the Miami Hurricanes. What was that?
The guy from the kid from Miami.
Kid from Miami, or Spencer Fano, the tackle from Utah?
It honestly, like when I look
what do you
at
look for? I guess I should say. How about
I'll say this in terms of offensive line, I look at who they were coached by. This is tough though, because Mario Cristobal, offensive line guy, Kyle Whittingham, the standard for Kyle Whittingham has been the standard that people are, secretly in awe of. And so I feel like for me, body style wise, I want the kid from Utah. I want it's not a knock, but that's just what I prefer. I look at, was he somewhere that the standard was to be a dog, and in Utah, I love it. Cold weather. You're going to play in these cold weather games. Like, all of those things matter to me when I'm thinking about, spending the number 3 overall pick on an offensive lineman. And so I would go the Utah route.
Yeah, same. You played left tackle freshman year. Also, Spencer Fano did. So if anything happens to Paris, you can move over to left tackle, which is important. Yeah. I mean, Kyle Whittingham, he took the Michigan job, right? So
yes.
This guy is, I was actually able to, we were interview him on a show I was on when they drafted Lecky Fotu a handful of years ago. And you can just hear the dude. He's such a great coach. He's such a great developer of talent on both sides of the ball. I think you go with the Utah kid. And listen, if you got to trade back from 3, you got to trade back from 3. But if DJ's saying Spencer Fano first, that's a good starting point for the Cardinals because it's not Jeremiah Love or a wide receiver. Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, can we all agree that at minimum it should be one of the pass rushers or an offensive lineman? Will you not? Like, I think that's pretty clear. I've seen a lot of the Jeremiah Love stuff. What the actual F?
I think there's enough running backs out there that you can.
It's crazy.
You can make a move for. You have to go up front if you're the Cardinals.
Okay,
go ahead.
I was going to say, and here's the other thing. Did you watch the national championship game?
Yeah.
Reuben Bain Jr. almost won Miami a national championship. It's hard to pass up on that kind of talent at the pass rushing spot. Is there a chance we have buyer's remorse again? Which Paris Johnson's been great. Will Anderson has been better. Do you think is there any of that seeps in your mind? Because it is seeping into mine a little bit.
No, because the Cardinals are not in a position to draft off luxury. They got to draft off need, and what they're going to need is someone to protect their quarterback that they're going to be looking for the following year. So, there's obviously, of course you could look at it that way, but if I'm the Cardinals, my pass rush is going to be fine. Walter Nolan's going to get healthy. I'm going to be fine in terms of creating the pass rush. I have to protect my quarterback, and my run game needs a major boost. So I will go that route.
Yeah, I agree. Look at kind of like, yeah, I mean, dude, it's just everything is easier when your offensive line protects the quarterback and blocks for the run. That's the anchor for any sort of real team. Now, listen, I understand that the Cardinals need a spark somewhere. Okay, so say they do bring in the best offensive tackle possible, the best right tackle possible in free agency, and throw some money at him. and you want to draft an interior offensive lineman or sign some depth or whatever it may be and start to develop Isaiah Adams more, whatever it may be, Will Hernandez maybe comes back, probably not, who knows at this point. If you can plug that hole on the right side of the offensive line and then you want to take the stud pass rusher, that's a different conversation. If the roster is set as currently constructed and draft day is tomorrow, you can't not take an offensive lineman at 3. Now, the only thing for me is I know there's Jordan Tyson, who's got injury concerns, is a Lemon kid. There's other guys. There's wide receivers who are going to be taken in that range. Do you see a world where a team at 7 wants to leapfrog a team at 5 and says, you know what, I'm going to move up to 3 and take our dude? And the Cardinals can move back a handful of spots, get an extra third or whatever it is, and still draft a guy. Because if the Cardinals draft in the top 6, they'll get one of the best pass rushers or one of the best offensive linemen no matter what.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just something you might want to flirt with if the calls are right. But by and large, O-line, all things being equal.
Can I just get your guys' opinion on this? Honestly, I'm really curious what you think about this, Clancy, because you were here for the Isaiah Simmons experience. What if Arvell Reese falls to 3? Can you run that back again? A guy who doesn't necessarily have a position, a jack of all trades. Are we sure he's a master of any? Can you run that back again? The Isaiah Simmons experience?
No, because that should have been the Tristan Wirfs experience.
Golly, don't even get me started about the Tristan Wirfs experience.
So, or the CeeDee Lamb experience, who was, who his quarterback was in college, right? Yeah, it was the quarterback for the Cardinals at the time. Number 1, he wore number 1.
Just to go through some of these selections for those the audio audience, Spencer Fano, number 3. Francis, the kid from the offensive tackle from Miami, 4. Mansour Delaney from LSU. David Bailey, 6. Sonny Styles, 7. Jeremiah Love, 8. Reuben Bain Jr. would fall all the way to 9 to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's scary.
I need it.
I don't see Caleb Downs not going in the top 7 or 8.
Oh man, Caleb Downs might be the best player in the draft. He's 11 to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I know safety's not quote unquote premium, but yeah.
You see Kyle Hamilton feels premium. All right. Well, with that being said, that concludes us for today here on the Cardinal Squad Show. We will be back on Friday. Hopefully, the Arizona Cardinals have a head coach by then.
Damn well better be a head coach.
Who?
Right? There damn well better be a head coach named in the next 72 hours.
There has to be. If not, guys, I will FaceTime you from their facility, and I will be trying to get indoors to put my name in the hat. Someone tell Monti I'm looking for him.
Hit that like, share, subscribe button. You can follow us on all social media platforms in the YouTube description down below, or as well as in the audio description if you're listening on there. We will talk to you guys on Friday to discuss potentially the Cardinals head coach. Until then, Clancy will have it dialed in here on Locked On Cardinals when they hopefully hire a coach. Until then, we'll talk to you guys on Friday. Stay safe. Have a good week, everybody.